Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Podcast. I know it's been a minute, but we back here today. As you see, I have a special guest here today, and we're going to get into all things music today, specifically women in hip-hop, female rappers, etc. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. It is your girl, Andra J, and this is...
It's your boy, Cam, Takeover Cam, CBS Cam. Maybe the anchor, maybe not. We don't know sometimes, right?
Hey, straight.
Hopefully I'm not going to Cat Williams this up, but nah.
This is the Common Sense Podcast where common minds come together because...
Common sense ain't common, y'all.
Let's get straight into the video. So like I said in the intro, today we are talking about women in hip hop and in rap, specifically how the music state, or I guess you could say the state of hip hop is when it comes to specifically women. How this came about, you might ask. Fabulous had something to say about the state of female rap.
So basically what Fab said was, love hearing a female rapper talk some real ish. Women are so strong, have so many stories and perspectives that we need to hear in pure form. No disrespect to any female rappers out there, but I think there's only one style of female rap being promoted and looked at as successful now. I want to know, what do you think about Fab's quote though?
I absolutely agree with him. As we think about the state of women rap right now, don't get me wrong, it has progressed as far as opportunities for women in hip hop. So before, obviously, it was just one person, and that was Nicki Minaj just taking over, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that, because Nicki Minaj deserves it. She held the crown for a very long time, or she basically still has the crown. I guess you could still say that. Yeah, all of her sons. But like I said, she was the dominant figure for a very long time, and now we have so many other female rappers or different ways to rap. But it seems like the most dominant, I guess you could say, style or type of female rap right now, or female hip hop, is, we all know the type. We're gonna rap about having sex and what our bodies look like and what we can do in the bedroom, and sometimes it gets old.
I want to keep this on Nicki Minaj
when
we start. So I think this is going to be a little bit controversial, all right? Okay. I think female rappers have a cap on their greatness. This is what I mean by that. Explain. Once you factor in females from like the 1990s, I feel like rap was even, regardless of the gender. You had your Lauryn Hills, you had your Jay-Z's, you had all of those type of things. But that stopped being the case in 2010. I would argue, besides Nicki Minaj, there hasn't been a female rapper since 2010 to rap on the same level as her male counterparts. And I feel like because of that fact, because if we're talking about Mount Rushmore, especially going to 2010, I would say the Mount Rushmore of rap in general, going from that lane, was probably Future, J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick Lamar.
Now, if you don't mind me saying, okay. You did think that Nicki Minaj was on the Mount Rushmore before, correct?
That's true. That's true. Because you convinced me about Future.
Just for the audience, we had a conversation about the Mount Rushmore prior to this episode, right. And he originally had Nicki Minaj on the Mount Rushmore,
right?
But then we thought about Future, and we were like, you cannot have Future.
We in 2023. I'm trying to get that inclusivity. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have some type of female up there. Right. But back to what I was saying, I say that to say that maybe labels were thinking the exact same thing. There hasn't been a rapper, like I said, since Nicki Minaj on the female side of things that has eclipsed, or even, you can't even name a Mount Rushmore, I feel like, of female rappers from the 2010s. You have Nicki Minaj. Not really. And it kind of goes downhill from there, because in my opinion.
In order to have a Mount Rushmore, you have to have some type of resume. But to me, a Mount Rushmore means like you set a standard.
Right.
You change the culture at one point.
And I feel like you said at one point, but at certain points, you look at the female rappers that are big now. You got your Meg Thee Stallion, you got your Nicki Minaj, you got your Cardi B to some extent. She hasn't dropped in a minute, but before, earlier in their careers, they were rapping. I feel like, and they kind of fell off, and that's why I think there's a cap on it, because I think as an exec, you have to say, what is going to sell me more from my female artists? Right. There's no such thing as a Lauryn Hill audience anymore, because that's disappeared. Like, women aren't necessarily thinking like that. Women now are going out and partying, so you have to have someone who displays that. And there are female rappers who can rap. Like, I'm not saying that females are just so far off from men, because some female rappers do rap better than men, but the ones that are pushed the most don't. But I think sex sells is another thing as well. I mean, you look at the most popular female rappers right now, I would argue that it's probably Meg Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Ice Spice, and Sexy Red. Yeah. And I know I said Ice Spice and Sexy Red, and you kind of was like, you're looking in the air a little bit, but it's the reason they're popular is because of the looks. Right. It's crazy to sound. I just said Sexy Red. No,
it's not. It's not crazy, because, like you said, it's what women are listening to now.
Right. And music is subjective itself, though.
But the problem with advertising that style of female rap, basically what it's saying is we're going right back into that trap when it comes to women and being, I guess you could say, degraded or not appreciated, to where it's saying we have to show our bodies in order to be valuable. We have to talk about our bodies and how well we use our bodies to be valuable.
But I feel like that also says something about us as people too,
as a society.
Yeah, I think that's honestly an overlapping thing as well, because once you look at it, you look at our generation, what we like to hear. We like things simple, and we like things that we can get. And all the female rappers that I named you, they probably all rap at the same rhyme style. It's AAVV, you know, rhyme. It's no diversity to it. It's nothing really special about it. I think it's really just because, you know, sex sells. Like, you gotta think about it. Coyle Ray started twerking in her double XL freestyle.
Right, because the first thing that came into her mind was like, oh,
I gotta twerk. And if we go back 30 years, to me, that wasn't the case. Because you look at some of the best female rappers from the 1990s. I got a little list right here. You could see if my list is valid of female rappers. I have Missy Elliott, I got Lauryn Hill, I got Lil Kim, Da Brat, and Queen Latifah at this time. Right, and I say they're competing, not necessarily better than the male counterparts, but Andre 3000, you got 50 Cent, you got Tupac right now, you got Jay-Z. Right. I feel like those are even in a bit of...
And it's so many other females too. Like, I know you just named a few, but you got Eve, Foxy, MC Lyte, Left Eye. It's clear that the standard has fell compared to back then. And like you said, there's a problem.
Maybe the listeners have changed too.
The listeners have changed as well as far as females go. And my problem has always been, per se, like, you have to have music for certain things, right? Partying, cool. I understand. Like, and I'm not dissing the female rappers for making that type of music about, like, the stuff that we named. But the problem necessarily isn't what they're talking about for me. It's, you're just not making good music. Like, some of them just aren't making good music.
Kind of a rap thing, though. I feel like rap is dying itself.
Oh yeah. As a whole, like, that's why I don't understand when we bring up the whole men do the same thing, but they don't get criticized for it. Yes, they do.
Well, that actually segues right into what Glorilla says. So why don't you just tell us what Glorilla said?
Right. Okay. So Glorilla quotes, "What men rap about: killing, effing, robbing cars, money." She said, "Females rapping about the same shit." She added, "But guess what? We're not killing. We're not in gangs. We're not robbing. That's what men be doing. What we doing? We're sitting pretty. We're popping our shit, and we're hustling. We're getting money." She said, "We're having sex, so we rap about what we do." Now, that's cool. You can talk about all of that stuff. But sometimes when you are talking about that stuff, you're not making good music. Right. Like, for example, one of the greatest female artists or rappers of all time, Lil Kim. She wasn't necessarily she did make songs to where she was talking about something, but there were also songs where she wasn't necessarily trying to push a message. It was just a music for a fun time, but it still sounded great. The necessary topic that you're talking about doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something that I have to dissect every single word, but it just has to sound good. And I think, in my opinion, the music just doesn't sound good.
I mean, I hate to say it, Gloria, but I think men just do it a little bit better. Because, like, that's a real name, but that's Glorilla's real name. I think what she said kind of has a point to it. I guess she's saying the whole gangs thing is a double entendre, but she's then trying to go at what rap is. If you go back earlier on, that's exactly what people started to categorize rap as. Mm-hmm. And so she's saying that, but I don't think she realizes what she's saying when she says that they're promoting a bad thing, because that's what rap has been. It's the culture, and it's like so. But I just think, like you said, I think the music has gotten worse. It was more of a. It didn't necessarily matter, like you said, with Lil' Kim, because she was making music that was it sounded good. It sounded
sonically, it sounds good. Like, it's just there's a difference between making good music and then also making just repetitive stuff, because let's just be honest, after Glorilla dropped her EP, after that it was just kind of like, where did you go?
She had a fall off. So then to circle back on the question, why do you think this rap is pushed more than somebody of like a Rhapsody or Rico Nasty or a Lil Sims
or Tierra Whack, No Name? Oh, there's so many.
So why do you think their rap isn't pushed as much?
Because, like we said before, sex sells. Like, a record label can make more money from a female that shows
her body
and raps about that, having sex and that type of stuff, rather than an artist like a Rhapsody or a Lil Sims or a Tierra Whack, to where they are speaking. There's a little bit more substance to their music.
Like I said, I think it's still an imaginary cap on women since the 1990s, especially
when you say an imaginary cap, you mean as far as the skill level goes?
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point, I think execs think that there will never be a female that is on top of the rap game. I don't think that'll ever be the case.
When you say on top of the rap game, you mean like not counting gender?
Yeah, not counting gender. Like, you'd be like, undisputedly, this is probably the best rapper in the game right now. I don't think it'll ever.
I mean, I don't think it's ever been like. That's never been the case.
It's never been the case, but it was closer. It was closer. Yeah, like, you would start having talks about women in the top 10. Now, if you think of people's top 5 rappers, top 10, they're probably exclude all women in there right now.
Because the top 5 rappers are probably better than.
But the bottom 10 of the top 10 rappers would probably be better than the best 5 rapping women right now.
Right now, yes, I would definitely agree. Because when you think about it, well, when we say top, we're thinking about what society would deem as a top, because you also have to take in like numbers,
right? And those the NBA young boys of the world and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah.
So, like, to me,
I promise y'all, we just don't listen to J. Cole and hate every other thing. I promise you. But
I think it matters though, because, like, for example, you name some of the top rappers right now, like, or top female rappers right now, like, who would you say?
The top 5 female rappers? As in, like, the hottest right now?
The hottest. And when we say hottest, you have to take into
popularity, what they do.
Yeah, things of that nature.
I would go Ice Spice. I would go Sexy Red. I would go Meg Thee Stallion. I would probably go Nicki and Cardi B.
Well, to be honest, Ice Spice and Sexy Red, I'm not going to comment on those two because I don't listen to their music. Right. So I wouldn't be able to thoroughly, like, give you a critique of them. But from what I've heard from them, I'm just not too big of a fan. Those people that you named, the only really noteworthy one, I guess you could say, would be Nicki. Because,
like I said, since the 2010s, she's been the only one. She's been the only one.
And I would say, like, no disrespect to everybody else in that top 5, but to me, in my opinion, they started off hot, and then it just kind of dwindled. Right. So the point that you made about how there's a cap on women talent, I also would like to point out that there are men writing women music.
That is very true. Lil Yachty is the only reason the City Girls are a thing. Same thing with Caribou. The new up and coming artist, everyone like, she's signed to Concrete, and that's Lil Yachty too.
Now we're in a era where it's like, you know, we don't like men, we hate men, and
they write all the music. It's crazy.
There was a point in time, like we pointed out, the greatest of all time, like Lil' Kim, Foxy, Eve, Da Brat. They all had men who mentored them. Foxy had Jay-Z, Lil' Kim had Biggie, Eve had DMX,
Nicki had Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah, of course. Nicki had Lil Wayne, and Da Brat had Jermaine Dupri. I also think that's a key part.
Yeah, because Glorilla is signed to what I think I forget the label, but it's Yo Gotti's label. So it makes sense that her view on rap is like that because that's what her label is.
Yeah, right. And I would just like to say, all women ain't out here just like according to her, we just out here having sex, or we out here robbing men. We out here having sex and being cute. Evidently, that's all there is to being a female, evidently.
And I think that's how it is. I just think rap is going down, it's kind of a rabbit hole. You see a lot of the more lyrical rappers now saying that it's not even fun to do it anymore because the expectation is so low to what can be a rapper. Because everyone's a rapper right now.
Right.
Like, literally, we could put a beat in front of this podcast and we could both be rappers. So, like, I think just the state of rap has gone down. And I feel like it's affected women first because they've been inferior to men as far as rapping goes, generally. So I feel like it would be the first to hit them. And it's kind of hit some of the male rappers, too. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like, some of the male rappers don't be talking about some of the most boring stuff. Like, I think Lil Durk is extremely repetitive. I think a lot of rappers kind of fall into that same killing, all that other stuff type thing. But they end up kind of falling off, too. But that just seems like the entire population of female rappers that are all pushed are in that lane, in one lane. And the ones that aren't are the ones that have the most substance and probably can make an album like they used to.
And like I said, the Rhapsodies and the Lil Sims, the Tierra Whack, No Names, I have to go search.
Yeah, because you forget they exist sometimes.
Right.
I also throw Doja Cat in there too.
Oh, Doja Cat as well. A person who I would categorize her as an artist. Right. I wouldn't necessarily call her a rapper. And like we said, we don't just listen to lyrical music, but I am a fan of lyrical music.
Right.
And I'm not, it also depends on the person you are. I'm not a clubbing type person. I'm not a partying type person.
Right. Music is subjective. We said that earlier here. Yes, so don't hate on us. Don't hate on us. Like,
music is
you listen
subjective.
What you listen to. You listen what you listen to. Maybe I'm not a munch. So to kind of wrap it all up, we both think rap is dying. I think, how many years do you give rap though before it starts to really go on decline?
See, that's a tough question for me, just simply because you always gonna have the really good artists, but they're just not gonna get as much shine as the stupidity. So if we're talking about just mainstream, like as far as like how popular it is, I give it maybe 10 more years.
I give it 6, man.
6? You gonna give it less time?
I give it less time because I think with the big 3 retiring, I think rap is gonna be on crutches for sure. I think Kendrick is already gone. J. Cole says when the fall off happens, he's gone. I don't think Drake has that much more time as he thinks he does. I think without those 3, I think rap is on the crutches.
The rap game is on the bed, and you just hearing the beep beep.
Right. Beep. And when those 3 retire, to me it's a done deal.
Yeah. Well, you guys, that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments, what do you think? Is the state of female rap, has it dwindled since the 90s or since the early ages of female rap? What do you think? Or what do you think in general about hip hop? Is it going to last any longer than 10 years? Or how long do you give it? All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like the video, subscribe. That's it for this episode, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.